Joining me right now is California Republican Congressman Tom McClintock. Congressman, good to have you here. I don't get it.
Thanks for having me.
Total double standard. I mean, he said one thing then and another thing now.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, in all of my years, I've learned that when the other side's calling you names, you know two things. You know you're winning the argument, and you know that they know that you're winning the argument. In this business of, oh, well, the acquittal won't matter, well, in a sense, they're right. In order to have an acquittal, you have to have a crime. And the House has charged the president with no crimes. That's the first question the Senate has to answer. Have they brought us an impeachable offense? And clearly they have not. The Constitution is very specific. Treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors, crimes relating to the office. They haven't done that. They've made up two charges, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, neither of which is a crime, let alone a high crime. Obstruction of Congress simply means he was asserting his constitutional prerogatives, prerogatives that have been asserted by every president since George Washington. The executive privilege assures that the president has candid advice and is able to talk candidly as they're forming policy. And abuse of Congress, that's the 18th century term is maladministration. George Mason wanted to make that an impeachable offense at the Constitutional Convention. It was James Madison who stood up and said, wait a second, that could mean anything. And if that's the grounds for impeachment, then the president is not a co-equal branch that can check the Congress. The president is simply a servant of the Congress serving at its whim. So if the Senate accepted either of these charges, it would be fundamentally altering the architecture of our Constitution.
I agree with you. And I'm someone who loves transparency, right? So I'd actually like to see an investigation into Biden Inc. and what the heck happened in Ukraine. Well, I'd love to see an investigation into why the whole Mueller thing had to come about. But Congressman, I think there's some there, and we should look into it. But that's separate from this one, because you can't even give it the time of day when they didn't have the decency to take it to a judge in the first place. If they wanted John Bolton as a witness, you know what? They could have subpoenaed him. They could have taken it to a judge. And then if the president had said no way, then they might have had a leg to stand on when it came to obstruction of Congress. They never did that.
Well, for evidence and witnesses, before you get to the evidence and witnesses, you have to have a crime. Somebody hauls me into court and says, we're prosecuting you for being a jerk. My response is going to be, that's not a crime. I don't care how many witnesses you have. It's not a crime. And that's where we are with this whole impeachment fiasco. They have not charged an impeachable offense.
They lost this round. And I predict it's going to come back to haunt them. Congressman.
Oh, I think it will.
Good to have you here tonight. Thank you, Congressman McClintock. Okay.